Tupperware files for Chapter 11, and Aunt Barbara comes to clean up the mess. This is the focus group.
They're all business, except when they're not. It's the focus group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Welcome to the Focus Group. John Nash here with Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is the URL for our website. You can go there to check us out, including our partner here on the Focus Group, which is Deep Discount. You'll also learn about our companion podcast, TFG Unbuttoned, which drops on Tuesdays into your audio feed of choice. And as you heard me say at the top of the show, that is correct. Aunt Barbara will be joining us later in the broadcast for our Shop Talk segment to kind of demystify what's been going on with Tupperware. They did they're claiming reorganization, which is Chapter 11, which is not a full bankruptcy, but it's like, relief from debt, etc. So she comes to clear it all up with her Aunt Barbara style, and that was a conversation we had just a day or two ago, so we'll drop that in for you. So, Mr. Bennett, we are into October, very, very deep into October. I came back yesterday to the apartment building, and some of our residents had organized a children's decorating party for Halloween, and I have to say, it looks great. There's cobwebs and spiders, and my favorite is if you come down one of the stairs, like I usually walk down the stairs to get to the lobby, often walk up too, but right as you come off the landing of the last stair, there's just this one little orange cutout on the wall. And it's a Grim Reaper. It's like a little, and it's colored in, and the Grim Reaper's smiling. So only kids would put a smile on the Grim Reaper, right?
Do you have a little holiday decoration on your door? Do you do that in the building or no?
Bob's Christmas.
Some people do it or no?
Oh, yes. We have a couple doors with black cats and some pumpkins and stuff like that. So
you just do Christmas?
Bob just does Christmas. However, I will tell you this. On my bike ride on Sunday, upstate, I went down this hill and I'm turning a corner and I'm going by this house, and it was Halloween to the 100th degree. They had those enormous skeletons from like Lowe's and Home Depot,
right.
The big ones. They had a hearse, like one of those horse-drawn carriages with a coffin inside and skeletons in the back with like a New Orleans jazz band made of skeletons. There's one huge skeleton that looked like it was coming out of the ground. I've seen those at Home Depot and Lowe's as well. I mean, this thing there's a witch on a broom hanging off a tree. I mean, I had to stop and take a picture. In fact, I should have posted it. It was, this was definitely a Halloween family. I'd like to see what they do at Christmas.
Do you get invited to any Halloween parties?
Nope.
We have one down. Well,
I guess you do.
We kind of got invited to one, I'll say kind of. But anyway, I don't feel like having to come up with a costume. You got to wear a costume. Could you come up with a costume quick? And I don't want to go out and buy anything.
Nope. I will remember, though, and I don't know if you remember this, but this caused a major breach years and years ago. And we used to have a summer house, like a share out in the Pines. One of our housemates, Gus, had a Halloween party, and Jackie O came dressed as Gus.
Ooh.
Didn't go over well. Did not go over well.
What, did wear clothes like him or something, or what?
He put like a Brillo pad in his for the chest hair. He had like a glass that was permanently filled with wine. I mean, it looked to be. And I remember he comes in because he came after us, and Gus opens the door. He's like, "What's your costume?" And he's like, "I'm you." And Trish was right next to me when this happened. Trish goes, "Ooh, this is not going to end well."
When I was in college, two kids went as myself and my friend Susie Joyner.
They dressed like you?
I did laugh. They got in and got our clothes.
Oh. And what did they take from you?
So we were both tour guides, Susie and I. So the college tour guides had to dress up more so than the regular students. And so I had a pair. This kid, he got a pair of, Kevin was his name. He got a pair of Kelly green khakis and this kind of pink plaid shirt. And then they had the college catalogs and all the stuff. And they tour guide.
Okay, yeah.
They had a name badge on it. And I did laugh. I thought it was funny. And and they, and Susie, our friend Susie Joyner, somebody had gone with her, and they had like a pink. They were able to get one of her skirts, which was this Lily Pulitzer like Kelly green skirt with pink hippos on it, and so then we were the life of the party per se. So.
Tim, can I tell you that my granddad used to always say it's better to be razzed than ignored, and I think it's the highest honor that someone said, "Hey, we should dress up as Bennett and Susie Joyner."
What's that line? It's better to be looked over than overlooked.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
Now, I can't remember some of the costumes I used to do in the past. And I remember we used to dress up. And, Greg, I remember going to a Halloween party with Greg one time. And I'm like, what's your costume? He goes, disgruntled 20-something. It's just his normal appearance, right?
Well, I was going to go online and just look for some simple, Halloween costumes that you could do. That you can
How about
do.
like a little Zorro mask, like a cloth mask?
There was one I remember people did. They went and got those little boxes of Kellogg's. You ever see that? Mm-hmm. And they glued them to like a turtleneck or a shirt and then put plastic knives in them, and they were serial killers.
Okay.
There's that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I broached the topic with Richard. I said, we've been invited to a Halloween party. We'd have to dress up. And he just looked pass.
Sideways.
Hard
Sideways.
Pass. Yeah. So I don't think we'll be going.
Here in the city, we have plenty of places that there's actually a couple places downtown you could rent costumes or buy costumes.
Yeah, who wants to do that?
Well, if you wanted to go as like Count Dracula, I mean, and then of course the Halloween parade used to be here I think they still have it on 6th Avenue.
Right.
It used to actually just be in the Village, a much smaller, fun affair. But sometimes you see some hilarious, like really inventive costumes. But I'm just not into this holiday the way a lot of people are, I guess. I don't mind seeing trick-or-treaters and kids. I love seeing kids. We have a Halloween parade up here in our neighborhood, and actually our windows look out to the street where that happens, and we literally just sit on this thing we have in front of our window in the bedroom, and we just hang out the window and watch the kids, and the dogs get dressed up too.
We had this. I'm sorry. I went to Home Depot. They have all those blow-up things, whatever you can put in the yard for Halloween. But they had Christmas out as well, and I was really liking it. They had like this 14-foot plastic Santa Claus and a reindeer, enormous, that I thought looked great. They were $299, but then, where the hell do you store the thing all year? I guess if you had a big house or something, which we don't. But I thought it was kind of funny. But
I love that. Was it blow up or was it actually statue?
No, this was a statue thing.
Okay.
It was hilarious, and I thought it was pretty. It had to be made in China or Bangladesh or something. I mean, how they made it for $299 is beyond me. But
imagine the box you're going to get that in.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
It has to be in pieces. I bet it comes apart.
Yeah. So we had our toilet. The Toto toilet broke, so I had to go buy this knob thing. Of course, they didn't have it at Home Depot. I had the whole place in an uproar looking for this stupid little nut and washer. And I found something that didn't work. I had to take it back. I ended up having to go online, which seems to be what everybody has to do now. And this little plastic piece, John, that might cost 3 cents to make, I had to pay $12 for.
$12. Okay.
From some plumbing supply place just to get the handle to work, which would have been far cheaper, I guess, than the $300 plumber to come do it.
Yeah.
But,
still, though, having to order a part like that, back in the day, you just went to the store.
Yeah, I couldn't. I went to Lowe's and I went to Home Depot. Neither of them had it. And I couldn't believe it was that difficult. It was just a nut to screw into the. Anyway.
Every time you keep saying nut, I think of John Regini and that one-armed squirrel that was digging
with
up
the one
the
arm.
nuts.
Yeah.
Anyway, what caught your eye, Mr. Bennett?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
So speaking of Halloween, John, I don't know if you've been walking through the store and you take a gander at the Halloween candy at the grocery.
It's been out for weeks and weeks and weeks, yes.
It's been out for weeks. So this comes from CNN. It says, Halloween can taste different this year thanks to soaring cocoa prices.
Yeah.
So everybody knows that you can't have Halloween without candy, but that the trick-or-treaters are going to find less chocolate filling their buckets this year. They said cocoa prices have more than doubled since the start of the year. And it's made a lot of the bigger companies pull back on using chocolate and either making the products smaller and or substituting. So if something had a layer of chocolate on it, they might use nuts instead, or they might use a wafer inside instead of the chocolate. They said this has caused a lot of grief around prime chocolate selling season, which is Valentine's Day, Easter, and then Halloween. And they said that they're trying to figure out other products to replace the cocoa with. They said production has fallen over 14%. Most of the cocoa comes from Africa, overseas, and they said that the global supply, 70% of the cocoa comes from West Africa, and they said the global supply, due to weather and climate change, has been affected. Hershey's, for instance, was forced to grapple with the high prices, and they said they had a 48% decrease in profit due to the cost of cocoa. So they do say that this year there's some favorable weather conditions, so they expect the next crop, so not until 2025 of September will we see an abundance of chocolate. So probably
a price reduction too?
Price reduction plus far more things with chocolate or larger quantities of items with chocolate. They said what's happening with Mars in a number of places is they're taking their gummy and their non-chocolate offerings or fruity candies like Skittles, they gave as an example, and they're trying to do more of that for Halloween. So if you see that in the aisles, more gummy offerings or fruity candies like Halloween-themed Skittles, licorice, the dots, all that sort of gummy, gooey stuff is replacing chocolate this year. So they said chocolate is still obviously a big seller, but you're not going to have as much of it this year if you're looking to do those fun-size things that you throw in people's little...
Tim, you were never
like
fun
Starburst
size.
And stuff.
I
like the big ones.
You were normal to king-size bars you gave out, right?
Yeah. So Halloween makes up half of the total confectionery sales, which are about $25 billion a year.
Jeez.
So take a look. Now, I always wait till things go half price, which after Halloween.
The only candy we buy at Halloween, and we do it in bulk, is Kit Kat comes out with this dark chocolate Kit Kats. Have you seen these?
And you said that, and I looked, and no, they don't have it here, or they didn't have it here, because I looked for that specifically because you mentioned that before.
Did you look in CVS or any of the pharmacies?
I did. Nothing.
Oh, so we always find ours not at the grocery store, but we always find ours at like Walgreens or CVS. And Bob,
I didn't look at Walgreens. I looked at CVS and I looked at Giant and Walmart.
Bob will buy like bags of it, and then he hides it. He just puts it in a shelf somewhere, and then months later, I'll see a dark chocolate Kit Kat. I'm like, oh my God, it's a dark chocolate Kit Kat. He's like, yeah,
Did you put them in the freezer?
No, I've never tried that with them.
Yeah, those
Have you
are
done
good
that?
in the freezer. Oh yeah, they're great in the freezer.
but do you get the chocolate flavor if they?
Oh yeah. It's just a different snap. Snaps when you chew.
And there goes my dental work. Okay.
There's your teeth. Yeah. So what caught your eye?
This is a special treat for you, Tim. It's a special treat.
Uh-oh.
I'll put up the picture. And basically, after sitting in a box for 40 years, Lisa Barlow's Holy Land USA gets its due recognition. Okay, Tim and I grew up in a corner of Connecticut. Tim grew up in Southbury. I grew up in Middlebury. We met at the high school level because our towns were too small to each have their own high school. And in the city next to us, which they call a village in this article, is Waterbury, Connecticut. And in Waterbury, there's something called Holy Land. You can't miss it because there's a big lighted cross on a hill.
The Switzerland of the United States because of all the clocks that are made in Waterbury.
Waterbury was brass and Thomaston was clocks, right? So I come across this article, and it's about this woman named Lisa Barlow who for many years in her basement had a box of photographs and negatives from a project she did when she was in college. So I'll just read a bit of this here. It says, before looking through Lisa Barlow's incredible new photography book, I'd never heard of Holy Land USA or the nearby village of Waterbury. It's a city. But by the end, I felt I knew it and its people. That is a question mark in my mind. Shot in the early 1980s, Holy Land USA by Lisa Barlow had been patiently waiting in a box as a set of negatives in a New York basement for the last 40 years until recently unearthed due to the pandemic. So pandemic comes, she's a photographer. She goes and gets this box out and she says, I'm going to start scanning negatives. I'm going to experiment on scanning negatives, and I'm going to use this project to do it. But as she did it, she realized she had some really great pictures. And so she's put a book together called Holy Land USA.
Where did you find this story? As I interrupt you here,
This is from an art a
in
blog
New York?
I check now and then. It's called Digital Camera World.
Okay.
And it pops up in my feed now and then with
What an odd thing.
Tim, this is the spirit of Caught Our Eye, right? I mean, Holy Land USA, right? So she puts this book together, and the publisher is Stanley Barker. It's this collection of stunning black and white photographs. And I don't know how they didn't list the cost here. I have to do that. But they interviewed her, and I just thought this one section was going to make sense to you and me. And so the question he asked Lisa Barlow, the author of this piece, says, I wonder if you could briefly describe what Holy Land USA is and your first encounter with it. Because Tim and I have encounters. My first encounter was, I heard about it, then had forgotten about it until one day I was driving and I saw this huge cross looming over the city on a hill, and I was curious. I had my camera, went over, and I was startled by this little diorama of the Holy Land, sort of like Disney World. Italian immigrants used some of the skills from Italy to use plaster and concrete in these recreations of the cross and illustrations from the Bible. It was the kitschiest thing I had ever seen, and I just wanted to document that. It was initially funny to me, but then I started meeting the people who were going there for whom it meant a great deal. I met the man who built it, and I met one of the nuns that lived there. This is news to me, right? It wasn't a trailer convent, but it was sort of like that, and I realized that this was deeply meaningful to them. This made me take it more seriously and respectfully. I went down to meet some of the people in the town, and that's when I first started meeting kids on the street who then invited me home. From there, I began to make real friends and connections, etc. The holy part starts as this religious shrine that is very important to this predominantly Catholic city, but the holiness has sort of a lowercase h by the end of the book, and I'll explain what that means too. I just wanted to capture these people in this whole thing. So Tim and I have visited Holy Land a number of times. We were in high school. I think she's being gracious when she says the Italians used their craftsmanship to build a miniature Holy Land. I mean, we would walk by a hot water heater that was tilted on its side, and it was like supposed to represent the manger. Yeah. Or here's one of my favorite memories from growing up. My mom snaps the paper one day. She goes, "Oh, Steve, someone was raped in the catacombs at Holy Land."
Well, there would be buses that would come up from Jersey and New York to come to Holy Land.
Do you remember?
The sign is like the Hollywood sign, right? It's a ripoff of the Hollywood sign, Holy Land, and you'd see it. You couldn't miss it from the highway. And
you and I went up there with Mary one day, and I remember we came across the oversized rosary beads made with cannonballs. Yeah. I remember you just stood there, like transfixed. You're like, Nash, what is this? I said, I think they're cannonballs.
The rosary.
Like, oh my God. Yeah, the rosary. And
is it still there? Is it still there?
It is still there, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I believe there was an effort to sort of save it, but Tim, I think this has Tim Bennett Christmas gift written all over it.
Well, listen, this would have been on if we drove cross country through Connecticut, we'd have stopped at Holy Land.
Holy Land, yeah.
I mean, that would have been on the stop.
I don't know if it would have been as fun as the Barbed Wire Museum, but
that I can't believe you must have died when you saw that article.
I couldn't stop laughing. In fact, there are other pictures. One picture shows that there's a recreation of the crucifixion of Jesus on the cross with the guys on either side, and it's sort of quarter scale or something. So it shows someone standing next to it, but the cross and the person on it. You and I are smiling because we don't. We looked at this as what she said, it's the kitschiest thing she's ever seen. Yeah. But it does mean something to the people. So
right up there, it's when you and I went to the 12 o'clock, the midnight mass at the Polish church, the Zembruskis, the automated baby Jesus. But
I can't believe you remember that. My God. Boy, that was a night. You and I, how did we not bust out? We didn't look. That was when we first learned not to look at each other when something was going on.
It was all in Polish, remember? Then we went back and had pierogies or whatever.
All right. Moving on, folks. As many of you know, Deep Discount is a partner of ours here on the Focus Group, and we're happy to have them as a partner. They're a great partner of ours. Visit our site, focusgroupradio.com, and click on the Deep Discount logo to start your shopping extravaganza. We get a little bit of credit when you do it through our site. So this week, the sale they're having is the 25th anniversary sale. And this sale I found wonderful, but also slightly disturbing to me because some of the movies I'm looking at think, oh, is that 20? It really had to register that it was 25 years
Thought it
ago,
just
right?
came out. That just came
exactly. So what did you pick?
Well, I was going to pick American Beauty just to stir
to
you up
tease
because
me,
that was on there. But
That's a movie that Tim saw the first 4 minutes of and the last 4 minutes and said, this is a terrible movie.
Terrible movie. And I've not watched it since. I probably should because you always tell me how great it is. And so our friend Rosie says the same thing, that I really missed out, but I was tired. The I picked.
I like what you picked, by the way.
I saw it in the theater. Double Jeopardy, starring Tommy Lee Jones and Ashley Judd, and it says the chase is on. Ashley Judd shines as an unstoppable box office smash with co-star Tommy Lee Jones, and this is best performance since The Fugitive. Judd plays Libby Parsons, who discovers that the husband she's convicted of murdering staged his own death and framed her for the crime. So she gets out on parole, and then now she's out for good. She's going to get double jeopardy because you can't be accused of the same crime twice.
Yeah.
So she might as well kill him.
You can't be tried for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So she might as well kill him. So it was a huge success. You can get it for under $7 in DVD at deep discount. So Double Jeopardy was my pick. Originally came out in 1999.
Excellent pick. So I did what you did, and I went like many pages deep into the sale, and boom, what pops up? But a movie I haven't seen in years that I am going to definitely purchase, available on Blu-ray for $18.25. Albert Brooks, one of my favorite directors, and also I just love him as a comedic actor. It's a movie called The Muse. And I remember seeing this and loving it when I saw it. But he plays a character called Stephen Phillips, and he's the king of Hollywood screenwriting. But his hold on that title is slipping a bit. So a very successful friend, played by Jeff Bridges, suggests the service of a bona fide muse. Now, we all know the muses were they flirted around with the gods, and they came down and they gave mortals inspiration. And the muse is named Sarah, and she's played by Sharon Stone. During the movie, the muse makes these crazy requests. I want my own apartment. I want champagne. I want this stuff. Meanwhile, his wife, Albert Brooks, his wife, Andie MacDowell, is beginning to wonder, like, what the H is going on with this muse thing and everything. It ends up featuring a lot of cameos. Elton John appears, Rob Reiner, James Cameron, and some of them say, like, and Martin Scorsese even appears at one point and says, hey, you got to listen to her. She's like the real deal. She's the muse. Anyway, it's a fun comedy. I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't even think it's streaming, but it's The Muse, starring Albert Brooks and directed by him as well. And we do have a new release this week. This one got all kind of press, a lot of good press, and boffo box office. I mean, this movie made a ton of money at the box office, and it's going to make a ton on release. But it's Deadpool and Wolverine. So this is, the Deadpool character. I want to say it's created by Ryan Reynolds, right? He partners with Wolverine, which is always Hugh Jackman. And somehow through the Marvel Universe, they travel to a different, I want to say it's a different dimension or something, but it did really well, as I said, at the box office. There's a ton of extras available on the disc. I'd like to see it because I don't know the Deadpool universe. I do know Wolverine, but I think the crossover was highly successful. So Deadpool and Wolverine is the new release.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that either. As John mentioned, thanks to our friends at Deep Discount, you can get there by going to focusgroupradio.com. You'll see the Deep Discount logo there, so be sure to click on it and start shopping away. Right now, they've got a 25th anniversary sale going on. I picked a movie originally released in '99 called Double Jeopardy. John picked a movie called The Muse, and the new release this week is Deadpool and Wolverine. So you can get all of that and more at Deep Discount. And thanks to them for supporting us and for you for supporting them. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have a business birthday, and then we have a visit. John and I got to talk with Aunt Barbara about Tupperware and the bankruptcy that was in the news. So stay tuned after this quick break.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Now back to the focus group with Tim and John. Available pretty much everywhere.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash here with Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is the site, and you'll learn about us there as well as our companion podcast, TFG Unbuttoned. And if you're an audio listener, that drops into your feed automatically. But if you want to see the Focus Group in video, that's Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube or Facebook Live. And without further ado, the business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So as we've mentioned before, often our listeners will send us a business birthday idea. This one came to us several months ago, and I believe it was from either Patrick and Howard or Bunky and Kate. John, I can't remember who sent it to us.
I just love Bunky and Kate.
Bunky and Kate. But I put it on the calendar, and his actual birthday is October 21st. So it was Monday, even though we're on Wednesday. Now it's this week. So it was October 21st, 1911. His name is William A. Mitchell. So again, born October 21st, 1911. He died at 92 in July of 2004. He was an American food chemist, and he worked for General Foods between 1941 and 1976. And he had over 70 patents while he worked at General Foods. He was born in Raymond, Minnesota, and as a teenager, he ran a sugar crystallization tank at the American Sugar Beet Company and worked his butt off. He only got to sleep 2 hours a night before getting up to go to school.
I'm still stuck on the sugar crystallization tank. It sounds very science fiction-y, very specific.
Yes. He went and earned a undergraduate degree at Cotner College in Lincoln, Nebraska, and then he had a master's degree in chemistry from the University of Nebraska. He had a research job for quite some time at the Agricultural Experiment Station, and he worked at a lab there and ended up getting second and third degree burns all over his body.
Oof.
In a lab accident. But after he graduated, he ended up joining General Foods in 1941. His first major success came with a tapioca substitute, which he helped to develop in World War II in response to the disruption of cassava supplies. So I didn't quite understand what that was. But this tapioca replacement became known as Mitchell Mud within the U.S. infantry, they called it. But he had a number of other products, which we all are well known to all of us. In 1957, he invented a powdered fruit-flavored vitamin-enhanced drink mix, which we know as Tang. So Tang flavor crystals. He invented that in 1957. NASA started using it in 1962 in the space program. So remember, it was the space.
Yep.
It was the
choice of
drink
astronauts.
Of the astronauts, right? In 1956, he tried to create instantly self-carbonating soda. I don't quite understand why that would have to be self-carbonating, but it was going to be instantly self-carbonating soda, which ended up resulting in the creation of Pop Rocks instead, the candy Pop Rocks.
Do you remember dumping a bunch of Pop Rocks on your tongue?
In your mouth,
boom, boom, boom.
right. They said although he invented in 1956, they didn't receive the patent until 1975. And it's now owned by a number of European countries. But they said one of the issues with Pop Rocks was that it didn't transport well because it needed to be fresh. I guess if it got warm or something, I guess they would pop.
Or moist.
I don't know.
It would
moist.
go,
And
right?
they'd stick together. In 1967, he introduced Cool Whip, which became the largest and most profitable whipped topping.
Wow.
Quickly, Cool Whip is the best-selling still and most consumed whip topping, followed by Ready Whip, and then number 3 is Dream Whip. So over his career, as I said, he had over 70 patents. He was a resident of New Jersey. He had 7 children. One of his daughters is also a food chemist. And he died of heart failure in 2004 at the age of 92 out in California.
Well, I'm not
But
going to
can you
blame
imagine
any of
if
his...
somebody says, what do you do? I invented Pop Rocks, I invented Tang,
and Tang
invented
and Cool Whip. And I think in your description, he also invented powdered egg whites.
Powdered egg whites as well, yes. Yep.
Not bad. So
Big
I
thing.
don't.
Powdered egg whites is a big thing. I forgot.
Yeah, I don't think that at 92 that the heart failure was caused by anything he invented. Right?
No.
I mean, 92 is 92. I mean, he could have gone to 100, but hey, not bad. So that's
What I often wonder about all these people is, did you get any money? Right? So you think of Cool Whip, the amount of millions of dollars that Cool Whip had brought into the company, or Tang, or Pop Rocks in the sale, or powdered eggs, right? But I wonder if because I know at Subaru, I often would shake my head. The guy who came up with the idea for the Outback, which saved the company, essentially, I think he might have got a $500 bonus. You would think they would give him an Outback for the rest of his life.
Tim, on many business birthdays, you've profiled people who worked for companies like Bell Labs or whatever, and who come up with inventions.
Invented nylons.
Yeah.
Here's $20 and a gift card. Yeah.
You said he worked for General Foods, right?
Yeah.
So my guess is that, hey, thank you, and they might have given a nice Christmas bonus, but they're under no obligation to. That's his job. He's paid to come up with stuff, right?
Yeah, I would just think that I don't know, I would think in some of these realms, if I were the head of the company, that's like I use the example of Subaru because I worked there. I thought, this guy saved the company, $7 billion company. Can you give him a little more than a little bonus? Maybe
And a pocket watch,
Use of you get a new car every 5 years or something.
Tim, it's like last week's business birthday. The woman who invented the disposable diaper.
Yeah,
she sells the patent for $1 million, which is worth $10 million in today's money. Right. But you might think that P&G would go back and say, "Hey, this is we've made $90-some billion off this.
Yes,
we're going to give you $20,000 as a thank you." I mean,
we'll give you $1 million, or we'll give you $5 million. I don't know. Maybe that's not how business works. You and I'd be out of business, I guess, if we were nice.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's our business birthday.
Well, that's an excellent business birthday, and he gave us some of our childhood favorites, right?
Yes.
Tang and Pop Rocks. So as I mentioned at the start of the show today, Tim and I sat down with Aunt Barbara a few days ago, and we discussed with her the impending or the ongoing Chapter 11 of Tupperware. But Aunt Barbara, of course, has her own thoughts on this and also about Tupperware in general. So we're going to go right to that interview, and here we go with Aunt Barbara. All right, here on Shop Talk today, joining us will be the one and only Aunt Barbara. If you're a listener of the show and you're a fan of the show, then you know she's been on a couple times. The back of my head is getting ready to seize up from all the laughter we'll have when she joins us. Aunt Barbara is here to talk to us today about a disturbing article that I saw, which was that Tupperware has voluntarily moved into Chapter 11 reorganization. And Tim and I read this and we thought, what's going to happen with Tupperware? Because we know that they specialize in seals, not lids. Aunt Barbara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today.
So were you disturbed at all by the notion that there may be some issues with Tupperware?
Well, about a year ago, they had issued a statement. They were going through some reorganization. I knew there was a little bit of trouble about a year ago, but I wasn't completely surprised by Chapter 11 for reorganization. And just so that people know, they haven't filed Chapter 7, not yet. Or I'd like my disclaimer to be that I am an independent Tupperware representative, and I am not an employee of Tupperware Brands. And I represent myself as an independent consultant. So I can tell you what I've learned and what my opinions are, on where things are going with Tupperware, based on being the top seller of that product for 8 years in a row in North America.
Did they consult with you, Aunt Barbara, to let you know that they were going to file?
No one has consulted with me regarding the filing. I have to say that the Tupperware brands in U.S. and Canada has been handling this very, very well. I mean, they issued statements to the press, and they have been very supportive and very informative to their sales force. So at this point right now, we know that they're going through this restructuring and reorganization, and that they're hoping to avoid, I would think, liquidation. Tupperware will continue one way or another. But Tupperware has faced some challenges in recent years. When the pandemic hit, although sales were very, very high, there were issues with shipping and logistics and getting all those things out to people. But after the pandemic, I think we've seen a huge decline in people hosting Tupperware parties. And traditionally, that's where Tupperware was sold, with your independent Tupperware representative doing a Tupperware party at your home and selling the products. But the truth of the matter is times have changed a little bit. And I think that's why I was successful in doing my parties, because I didn't have to sell the Tupperware. The Tupperware is wonderful. I was selling Aunt Barbara, let me into your home. Let me into your home. Let me entertain your friends. Oh, and by the way, check out these bowls. Look at the seals on those. The Tupperware really did sell itself. So, but now there's so much competition. There really is. There's also competition that's delivered to your doorstep the next day. But here's one thing I'll say. And while a lot of these articles that are coming out cite that they're competition, to me, there is no competition for Tupperware, because Tupperware products are so well made and come with that limited lifetime warranty. Tupperware is something that lasts for generations. I have had people come to Tupperware parties and bring cake takers that are 50 years old, containers that are 30 and 40 years old. I have Tupperware that's over 25 years old. A lot of these, the competition are, containers that don't last as long. And because they're made from plastic and because people are concerned about plastic, listen, look down, there's plastic. Look up, there's plastic. I'm wearing plastic. I'm filled with plastic at this point.
Aunt Barbara,
yes.
On the plastic note, could you
Yes.
dispel a myth for me? Can you microwave in Tupperware?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked that question, John. Tupperware is science and technology. They have containers that are specifically designed to go from the freezer or refrigerator to the microwave, and they are BPA, CBS, and NBC free. They are completely safe. Now, other containers that you might buy, like those disposable containers when you order Chinese food or takeout, people are reusing them, and you're not supposed to reuse them in the microwave. They're not designed for that purpose because they leach and they get all mushy and gushy. Tupperware, see, not only is Tupperware quality and will last for generations, it lessens the impact on the environment because you have it for so long. So you buy that container, you have it for 20 and 30 years, rather than using a disposable container or inferior plastic products that will only last you a short period of time. I have to get this out there, John. I have to let people know. I think I need to declare myself their influencer and their, I am the brand spokesperson. I am declaring myself Tupperware's brand spokesperson.
Well, you should be, Aunt Barbara. Every time I try to loan Tupperware, I never get it back. People won't give it back to me.
No, you don't part with Tupperware.
I know. I have a quick question for you. So in the press release, and I don't know if you had thought of this, it said that the Tupperware management or the leadership said that they wanted to transform into a digital-first technology-led company. Does that mean online sales, or what were they trying to say there?
Well, I think it does transfer to online sales, but I think it should be online sales as well as in-home sales.
Okay.
The old model that worked so well was great when women stayed home. When women stayed home and could go to their friends' houses and have Tupperware parties, right? It gave them something to do. It employed women. It empowered women. But a lot of people like women like myself who have full-time jobs and sell part-time, we still need that vehicle. But I think there should be an online presence. We can't deny the way things are. Look, most of us shop online these days. I mean, there are plenty. This country is littered with dead malls. And I'm hoping, that we can start increasing Tupperware parties because there's a social aspect to it. People are not as social as they used to be. Now, in my full-time day job, I run an orientation, and we employ people to work in direct support services for individuals that require that. And what I'm seeing with the younger generations that are coming in is that they don't have that same social skill set. And that translates to professionalism as well, because they are the children of COVID. They're the graduates of COVID. They're also the generation of everything is at your fingertips on a phone. There's so many studies that were done that show that the minute that telephones started going from telephones to smartphones, where you have the internet and access to all these apps in front of you every minute, that a great deal of socializing has been taken away from this younger generation. And I think it's true of adults as well. My parties, I did parties, I would have a minimum of 25 women. Some houses I had as many as 80 women. Now I'm doing parties and I'm lucky if I have a dozen women there. That's a crowd to most people. It's different. It's very different.
We got to get you out there doing parties again, Aunt Barbara. You have to get into the homes.
I did a party last weekend for 30 women. Yeah, I know, 30 people. So I am still doing parties. I just wish that the demand was a little bit higher. People are still a little skittish, and they've got to learn to get back to hosting these events,
Wow. So I saw that I've told John and other people, and I know John is tuned in. You do a show on Saturday nights on Facebook, 9 o'clock. It's the best thing on TV, I'll say. and it's a lot of fun, and I know you've featured Tupperware on there and so forth. Do you still plan on continuing to do the show at 9 p.m. on Facebook?
I am. I won't be on this weekend. I have something else to do. But I try to come on at least during the pandemic, I was on every single Saturday. Right. And then a few because what were people doing? I knew I had a captive audience. You're all on lockdown now. Watch me. And buy these products,
Exactly.
But I'm continuing to do that show, and I'm going to continue to sell Tupperware as long as Tupperware is still available and is still encouraging their sales force. The directive from Tupperware headquarters was business as usual, keep doing what you're doing until they're figuring out what they need to do. So I'm following their orders, and that's what I'll be doing. I love the products. I think that the sustainability factor, that we're lessening the impact on the environment, because the truth of the matter is, we do have glass products, we do have cast iron products, they have cookware. Tupperware isn't just plastic food storage, it's science and technology, and it's everything and anything that you need in the kitchen these days. We just have to educate the public and let them know that we're still here. And one thing I will say also, that the generation that finds Tupperware nostalgic, my generation, your generation, this younger generation coming up doesn't have that same emotional tie to the product that you and I have, that older generations have. And that's going to slowly go by the wayside as we all move up the ladder, as we all get older and start, how else can I say it? As we start kicking the bucket.
But Barbara, you're eternally youthful. I don't see you as aging. And before we let you go,
yes,
you have to. Last time, one of the times you came on our show, I still watch the clips and I still laugh my butt off. But what are your three favorite things these days? Now I know that the lid remover or can opener is still a favorite.
They just recently reintroduced it. I think I'm going to sell dozens of them this weekend. The Tupperware can opener that removes the seal rather than cuts it, because we like that, because we don't like sharp edges. I love the corkscrew because the cork rides up faster than my prom dress. And I enjoy the Fridge Smart containers that keep our fruits and vegetables fresher 2 to 3 times longer. Again, you're not going to find this with other inferior products. These are designed by scientists and engineers, people with degrees, and they really do work. So please go to my website. And if you don't want to go to my website, go to your local Tupperware ladies website and look at what we have to offer. We're still here. We need influences. I'm going to start influencing people.
Could you give us your email address and your Facebook page so people can watch you?
Oh, sure. On Facebook, I am Jennifer Bobby Suhan, Bobbi. I know Facebook took my name away, whatever. Look for Aunt Barbara, but you'll find Jennifer Bobby Suhan. You'll see my lovely photograph there. My website is my.tupperware.com, my.tupperware.com/Aunt Barbara, one word, my.tupperware.com/Aunt Barbara, or just freaking Google me. I'm everywhere.
Well, thanks for joining us today and setting the record straight about the bankruptcy. So it's good to hear that you're still going to be around and Tupperware is still going to survive. It's such an iconic brand, and you're an icon and a good representative for that brand. So we appreciate you once again spending time with us here in the focus group.
Thanks for having me.
So thanks again to Aunt Barbara for joining us. And again, if you'd like to contact her, during the interview, there was a scroll of some of her contacts, but probably the easiest one, if you'd like to have a Tupperware party, would be my.tupperware.com/Aunt Barbara. But what we'll do is we'll put the contacts for Aunt Barbara on our Facebook page, which is Focus Group Radio. And thanks again for Aunt Barbara for joining us. Thanks to all of you for joining us, as well as our friends at Deep Discount. As we noted, it's the 25th anniversary sale. I picked a movie called Double Jeopardy. John picked The Muse, and the new release this week is Deadpool and Wolverine. We hope everyone has a safe and productive week out there. Remember, arrive alive, don't text and drive, or don't text and drive, arrive alive. I always say it backwards. And we'll see you next time here on the Focus Group.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.